Hi, I'm Kerry. I'm one of the hosts of Bust of Us Investors. You've probably noticed that we have numerous presenters, and you're going to see something on this YouTube channel that you've probably never seen before. You're going to see a conflicting beliefs on what's going to happen for one of the major stocks that I hold and one of the major stocks that I recommend. On Sunday, my son Trent, who is a presenter and an retired financial advisor as I am, made a very strong case that Facebook is a stock to get out of and Facebook is possibly a stock to short. I'm going to take the totally opposite position. I believe that Facebook is possibly the best buy today that you could make on the stock market. And I'm going to substantiate that to my way of thinking. And then we want a third opinion, and that is yours. You're going to have Trent's opinion, you're going to have Kerry's opinion, and then I want your opinion. And that's how a tribe works. A tribe gathers a meeting together and examines the situations, gets different ideas, and then makes a decision. Now, in this tribe, everybody makes their own decision. I'm a buyer of Facebook. I'm going to explain to you why. I'm going to explain to you why it's taken a 44% dive since, about September the 21st. Is that right? Yeah. And I think it's an opportunity to get in and buy Facebook, possibly at a 50% discount. We'll do that right after I explain that this is not financial advice.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Griegmeyer.
As I said, Facebook is down 42% from August the 21st to today, from $383 a share to $214, I think it is right now. This has basically happened as a result of Apple's announcements that they are not going to allow the tracking that has been available to Facebook through the iPhone that has been available in the past. In essence, what it says, if you have an iPhone and you're using Facebook and you see a Facebook ad, you can click on that ad, and if you then go and buy that product, prior to Apple's change, Facebook would know that product was bought. That doesn't happen anymore. So this takes away some of the appeal of Facebook advertising to an advertiser. That, in fact, they know they ran the ad, but they know that possibly they sold a product, but they don't know if it's sold from Facebook's ads. As a result of this, there is a belief, and I agree, that this decreases the effectiveness of Facebook as a advertising vehicle. Okay, so that's what's happened. This also probably has an effect on governmental regulation. The reason Apple initiated this is that the government feels that they just know too much about what we're doing and they thus don't like it. This then will probably, as a result of Facebook's market cap coming down, is going to take some heat off of Facebook. What I want to do, though, is show you how I then go forward to analyze what I want to do with my Facebook holdings. And what I want to do is go to my computer and go to my trading view and my seeking alpha to show you some data that I gathered. This is the trading view chart on Facebook. And as you can see, it goes back to 2013. Facebook's had a pretty good ride up. It has had some bubbles that it faces. This in 38% drop on the coronavirus, and then we have this tremendous drop that started from a high on about September the 3rd, 2021, and down today, showing a 47, almost a 44% drop in price. And this was facilitated by the fact that Apple came out and said, we aren't going to allow Facebook to track and target users on iPhones like we have on the past. In essence, they aren't going to get the information that says on an Apple phone, if I look at an ad and I click on it, they aren't going to let Facebook know if I buy the product. And so to an advertiser, this takes away some of the thunder that Apple offers them. The fact is, just today, Google has announced that they will adopt a similar privacy policy, but it's going to take about 2 years for it to take hold. That was a gift, actually, to Facebook, because they know now that their operation through Android phones, which is 85% of the phones in the world, is going to be okay for 2 years, and they have 2 years to work through how they're going to rectify this. Now, the other thing I wanted to do at this point was go to my Seeking Alpha and see if I can learn who owns Facebook. And this was very eye-opening. And as I page down, I can come down here and it says ownership. And it basically says that 68.6% of the owners are institutions, and that you and I own about 15%. So who's dumping this stock? Well, it's the institutions. As I dig deeper, I find out that the institutions are made up, for the most part, of sovereign investment groups. Sovereign investment groups are the governmental investment groups for particularly Saudi Arabia and the Arab Emirates and companies like that. Why are they dumping the stock? Because truly, if we go back to our chart, that is a dump. That is a dump of the stock. Well, basically, they're uncertain. They have some fear. They need those fears to be, I guess, settled, as well as understand they manipulate the market. They just created almost a 50% discount on Facebook. It's my belief that as Facebook kind of settles their fears, we're going to see this go up. Facebook right now is trading for $214.69. It could go, if we look at the chart, I don't think it will go as low as it did on the coronavirus, but it looks like it has support somewhere in here about 177. I'm a buyer at 200. I'm a watcher today, but I'm a buyer at 200. So I use these tools to give me some confidence about what's going on. But let's look at Facebook further and see if we can appease some of your concerns as we move forward. Okay, my next step was basically to say, okay, how big is Facebook in the social media platforms? Where do they fit? Well, Facebook has roughly 2.3 billion active monthly users. To give you some representation, I've created this chart here that I want to share with you that shows you then in second place is a YouTube with about 1.9 billion average monthly users. WhatsApp has 1.5 billion, which happens to be owned by Facebook. Messenger has 1.3 billion users, which happens to be owned by Facebook. Also, Mark expressed in his commentary for last quarter's review of earnings that TikTok's eaten their lunch. They have about 2 billion monthly users. So Facebook is stepping up and saying, we're going to introduce Reels that will counter, because we have the eyeballs already. We just need to keep them on our platform. Then we mentioned Snapchat. That only actually is 347 million average monthly users. And then another big behemoth is Instagram, also owned by Facebook, which it represents another 1 billion monthly average users. And then you have TikTok, our treasure, at 300 million. and LinkedIn at 250 million, LinkedIn being owned by Microsoft. So what does this all say to me? It tells me that whatever is happening, Facebook is still the dominant social media platform. Facebook still has the eyeballs showing up on a monthly basis to their platform from which they can then sell advertising. What they now have to do is go back into the lab and figure out how are we going to basically increase our deliverable product to our advertisers now that Apple has said that they aren't going to give us this tracking availability. And then Google comes forward and says, we're going to do the same thing, but it won't be happening for about 2 years, sometime in 2023. Okay, so how might they change this? If I was Mark, and I think I understand what Mark is going to do, he has a section of his business that he directs towards small business, and that is to say, it's I believe it's called shops. And what he's going to do, and what he is already doing, is putting these shops, these storefronts, right on Facebook. So now, rather than you moving through the app on the phone to a place to make the purchase from the ad that you saw on Facebook, you will go to a shop in Facebook structure and make the purchase. And now that data all is within Facebook's ecosystem. So that is what I believe you're going to see Mark do. Now, the other thing that I think is important in my analysis is, do I believe in the fact that Mark is going to be the major player in the metaverse? Yes, I do. Yes, but Carrie, what about the other competition of Sandbox and Decentraland? I want to address that. I'm a major brand, okay? And I see that there's a concert going on in the Sandbox, and it's one of MGM's lead artists. Do I want to go and advertise or be a part of that exposure on Sandbox? Well, I'll ask you this question. Who else is on Sandbox? Who else? Who bought the property right next to to the MGM concert theater? Well, I would ask you, do you know how big the porn business is on the internet? Would you believe it's $12 billion a year? What do you think the possibilities are on Sandbox or Decentraland that there's a porn operation adjacent to the concert? What do you think the possibility is that there's some sort of distasteful clothing being sold adjacent to the Sandbox metaverse? What do you think the possibility that maybe there's some weed being sold there? No, if you're going to attract the big brands that Facebook wants to deal with, you've got to have a clean operation. You've got to have something that is clean and targeted for the big brands that want to be associated. That's going to show up in the entertainment, in the social world on Facebook. That's my belief, because Facebook has 6.1 billion average monthly users at this time. 6.1. No one has anywhere near that. Now, if I'm doing a Taylor Swift concert and I want to maintain the reputation of Taylor Swift, where am I going to put my concert? If all things are equal, am I going to the Sandbox and have Taylor exposed to pornography? Or her fans, her young girls, exposed to pornography? If I'm Adele, where am I going to go? I'm going to go to the one that is curated, that is clean, that is squeaky clean, and I can protect my brand. Will I go to Decentraland and put up my thing next to Snoop Dogg's home? I don't know. I guess I have to see who else is in Snoop Dogg's neighborhood. I know what I'm going to find at the Facebook, because they have too much at risk. Sandbox doesn't. I also know that Microsoft, if I'm a business who I think is going to be the second big player in the metaverse, is going to be a clean operation. And that's what I need. I used to work for American Express, and Harvey Golub was the president of and CEO of American Express at that point. And I was a financial advisor within American Express Financial Advisors. And Harvey showed up at one of our meetings, and I'll never forget what he said as he stood in front of the 100 top financial advisors within the American Express system. He said, the most important asset that I own is my brand, my American Express brand. If you tarnish it in any way, you're out of here. That's a lesson I learned many years ago. The most important thing a company owns is its brand, whether it's Coca-Cola or it's John Deere tractor or it's Facebook. The most important, or Taylor Swift, is your brand. You aren't going to tarnish it. So I believe that the metaverse is going to be made up of these players that can deliver me protection on my brand. So I look at Facebook and say, yeah, Facebook is on sale about 50% of its all-time high. I'm a buyer because I don't believe there is anybody who can provide me with a clean, spotless environment better than Facebook, whether it's today or it's next week. There is no, for a small business, there is only two choices for advertising on the internet today, and that's Google, whether it be YouTube or Google search, and Facebook. And Facebook has the ability to give more data at this point. Again, that is changing, but I have faith in Mark. That's my third, fourth, I don't know what. I believe in Mark. He has built what he has built. He will incorporate, I know he is incorporating artificial intelligence into his platform, and he will get around the problem that Tim Cook has put in front of him. I have confidence of that. I don't see anyone replacing him, and so therefore I'm a buyer at Facebook. I'd like to buy it at $200 a share. I already own about $80,000 worth of it, and I'm confident that it's going to take me to where I want to go. Facebook shops will become and will address the small business world, which will give them even more access to targeted advertising and tracking, and the small business entities will use Facebook as their entrance into the metaverse. They're not going to use the sandbox. I'm a small business owner. I have products to sell, whether it's my T-shirts or my hats. Where do I want them? Do I want them in the sandbox or in Decentraland, where they may be sold next to pornography? I don't think so. I'm confident with Google, with YouTube, and with Facebook. Go beyond that, and you're jeopardizing my brand. And that, as Harvey Golub said, that's the most important asset I own. So What is my brand? My brand is this is the best station, the best channel for you to come to get counter opinions on what are the stocks you should buy. And to give you evidence of that, Sunday, my son Trent said, get away from Facebook. Here we are. What is this? Friday? So about 5 days later, I'm saying, buy, buy, buy. This is a winner. Now, where else you going to get that? And oh, by the way, come join the tribe and build your toolbox so that you can make good investment decisions. You'll find links to what I think are the best tools available, and I'm out search for more for you. Talk to you again tomorrow.